Auzbillahiminash-shaytanir-rajeem. Bismillahir-rahmanir-rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir-rahim. Maliki yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdinas siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta 'alayhim ghayril maghdubi 'alayhim waladdallin. Ameen. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lahu. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. So this is the second part on atheism. Why atheism is sad for us. Not only is it sad in this world, but it will be sad especially in the next world. In this world, you still have some fun and you still enjoy yourselves, but the joy has gone from you, and there is sadness or despondency and despair in you. And the atheists or the agnostic are those who ignore God and who deny God. And some are actually inimical to him as well and deride him. And we are actually nothing compared to him. He is our creator and he is above the heavens, and his size is immense and he's limitless, he's infinite. And we are like microbes to him, smaller than microbes, and we rise in our arrogance and our pride, and we deride him and belittle him and say bad things about him, while we should be only grateful to him. And this is the sadness on the part of the atheists, that they do this. And in China and Russia, there is the sentiment that God has created suffering and hardship. And it is true, there is suffering and hardship, but there's a reason for that. And I'll go into that today. But if we think the sadness is in this world only, it is going to be palpably much worse in the hereafter. From Surah Taha, verse 124 onwards, I'll read this to you. And whoever turns away from my reminder, for him surely a straitened life, and we shall raise him up blind on the day of resurrection. He will say, my Lord, why hast thou raised me up blind while I used to see? He will say, thus did our messages come to thee, but thou did neglect them, and thou art thus forsaken this day. So you see, what we do in this life shows up in the next life in palpable ways. If we are blind in our heart and blind to the truth, then we will be raised blind in the next world. And that is not a pleasant thought. And these things are there, that if you commit sins of adultery and fornication in this world, then you will have putrid parts and horrible smelly organs. And people will turn away from you in aversion. So you see, these things are there, that you have to try and see that there are consequences for what you do in this life. And the atheists say things like, why is there suffering? Well, this world is not meant to be utopia in the sense of perfect peace for us. There is suffering, there is hardship, and we are tried in this world. And a lot of the suffering is wrought from our own hands. It is from our sins that we are punished, and there is suffering on us. And but God has said in the Quran that he will try us. And even if we say that we believe, he will still try us. So there is going to be suffering, and it draws us closer to him. There's a reason for it. When there is suffering, we actually turn to him. And God said that if it had not been for death, in the Hadith he said, if it had not been for death, then man would have absconded. He wouldn't have cared. And it is only because the consequences that man turns to him and draws himself closer to him and recognizes him and amends himself. So this world is not meant to be perfect. There is meant to be suffering in it, and that is a reality. Why would there be heaven where there is no grief, no toil, no hardship for the hereafter? In this world, we are being tested, and those who are succumb to the test and submit to God and appreciate him, they're the ones who pass the test, and they will be in heaven in the hereafter. And heaven is where perfection lies. It's not in this life. And so The atheists deride God and say, why is this suffering? But there is a purpose for it. We are going to be tested in this world, and it's through suffering that we draw ourselves closer to God, and people turn to Him and so forth, become better people. Then they say, why is there evil? Well, evil is created by God in order to test us. If we repel evil, we will pass the test. And He has given us laws, and we're not supposed to commit evil. But if we commit it, then we would have failed the test, and there will be consequences in the hereafter, and hell and so forth will occur with us if we are excessively evil and so forth, do not have good deeds to our name. So He has created good, He has created evil, and it is for us to follow His laws and to be good people. The Quran is full of injunctions of being good, of being pious, and so is other books that He has revealed before. So we do not have an excuse to say that there is evil and therefore we should not be obedient to Him. There is a purpose for this, we have to repel it. It's the same way with the devil. Why is there a devil? Because He created him, and there was a purpose for it, to test us. And we have to repel the devil, and we have to fight and develop ourselves and strengthen ourselves and become better people by fighting the devil in us and the devil around us, and therefore pass the test and become strong and people who persevere, who are patient and who have ability to fight evil and wrong in the world. So there is this purpose for us. And then they say, why is there accountability? Why could we not be the only ones in the earth who are intelligent, and we could do what we bid, and we could take care of the world, and we could. Why do we have to have laws like marriage laws? Why can't we produce children out of wedlock and just be free to have sex with whoever we like? Because there is a law, and there is accountability, and there is a creator, and the creator has given us laws, and we aren't free. We are not free in that sense. We are accountable to God, and He has given us the laws, and we have to fulfill the laws. We cannot say that there is no accountability, or that we can live our lives the way we wish, and then we will die, and then there will be nothing. And that's what the atheists say, like I said yesterday in my lecture, that they think that will we be raised again. But there is a raising and there is a hereafter, and we have to understand that there is a purpose for us. We are not created in vain. There is a purpose for us, and God gave us a hierarchy, and He's going to see who is the best of deeds, who has the best of deeds, who is the best of us. And He has already knows that it is Muhammad who is the best of us, and but He wanted to prove it to the world by creating the world and to letting us play our roles and to fulfill ourselves and show us what we were in this world when we are in the hereafter, and we will say that truly I committed such and such sin and I am not worthy to have the same heaven as Muhammad, and there's a purpose for this. They say that we are created from our parents, and our DNA is from them, and God did not create us, our parents created us. Well, that's unfathomable. That does not make sense, because your parents have a DNA also that was created, and so forth, your ancestors too. And in this way, we are all created from a DNA, and your parents had a DNA code that was written by God, and so forth. Your ancestors too had a DNA code that was written from God, and God has created us from our DNA, and it does not make sense when you say that we are created from our parents. These are insane issues, actually, because if you're not a realist and you don't realize, or a deist, when you look in the world and you see the world around you and you see the perfection in it, the trees, the birds, the ants, the other animals that roam, all of this is created perfect, and man meddles with it and causes extinction of animals and birds and plants. But there's a perfection in this, And how could there not be a creator? So be a deist, be a realist. There has to be a creator. There has to be somebody who put the stars into orbit and hung them above us so that we could see in the night and have direction as well. So you see, these are things that are there that are for us to understand, and it is a blind person who says that there is no God, blind in his heart, or a person who has too much pride to submit to God. And that is what is the crux of the problem with an atheist, is that he doesn't want to submit to God. He doesn't want to be answerable to God. He wants his freedom or her freedom, and he wants to do his bit. He wants to create out of wedlock. He wants to have sex with whoever he pleases, and he wants to commit crimes with no accountability if he can get away with it or she can get away with it. So it's a cop-out. There is always going to be accountability from God for our deeds, and God has said in the Quran that if an atom's weight of good will be seen and an atom's weight of evil will be seen. So we are accountable for whatever we do, and we are not going to get away with it. And the atheist heart is a heart full of pride and hate and ingratitude, and he does not wish to submit to God. He does not wish to submit to the Creator. And this is not a humble heart. And these sort of hearts are the ones that go to hellfire for reform, and there they will have punishment, and in their punishment they will seek solace and they will repent, and then they will become better people. Because in us, we all know that there is gold in us, or there's a light within us, and we have to bring out the light. Just like the fire drosses the gold of dirt and impurities, in the same way, we will be drossed out, and we will become better people, and the gold will emerge in us. No matter how bad the person is, there's a potential for good in them. And it is like it is said in Christianity, the prodigal son is welcome back. Once he has repented and once he has become good, then he is welcomed back by God. And God does not forsake his creations. The hell is like a mother to mankind, and a mother punishes until the child amends, and when the child amends, then the punishment is over and he's brought back to heaven, and he or she has a good outcome afterwards. And that is the outcome for all mankind eventually. But people think that they will be in heaven eventually so they can do their bit in this life, but there will be punishment for it. And that's a reality. If you do not submit to God in this life, then there is a punishment for it. And you will be raised blind and deaf, or you will have diseases in you in the next life because you did not obey God. You did not obey God in this life. And this world is a testing ground. And they also say, some atheists say, that why the genetic mutations in children, what have they done? But we know this concept is there in Christianity and Islam, that the sins of the father are inherited by the children. So when the parents sin, it causes genetic mutations in them, and schisms occur, and breaks and mutations occur, and these are inherited by the children. And there is a reality. You have consequences for your sins, and it comes out in your family as well. So these are some concepts that the atheist has against God, and God himself is perfect, and in our heart he is perfect. We know that he is without limits. He is infinite, and he is perfect for us in our creation, and we do bow down and pray to him when we have enough sense in us, and when we have enough humility in us, and we do not have pride in us, to pray to a God who created us out of nothing. So this is my lecture for today. It's I will continue with atheism is sadness for us, and then in a later lecture as well. But this is some of the objections that people have, and God is perfect, and he has the most beautiful names. And I'll end with the verses that talk about the the attributes of God. And in Surah Hashir, Banishment, in chapter 59, it says that He is Allah besides whom there is no God, the knower of the unseen and the seen. He is the beneficent, the merciful. He is Allah besides whom there is no God, the King, the Holy, the author of peace, the granter of security, the guardian over all, the mighty, the supreme, the possessor of greatness. Glory be to Allah from what they set up with Him. So this is our Creator. He is the most beautiful attributes, the most beautiful of all things that we can imagine. And He is just something that we bow down in awe to Him. The verse goes on to say that He is Allah, the Creator, the Maker, the Fashioner. These are the most beautiful names. Whatever is in the heavens and the earth declare His glory. He is the mighty, the wise. So this is our Creator. Bow down and submit to Him and worship Him and serve Him in this life, and in the hereafter you will receive reward. He will not deny you any peace if you serve Him and if you obey Him in things. Jazakallah.